Hey everybody, what's up? It is, believe it or not, about 3:18 in the morning. I know you're probably thinking, why the heck are you doing a video this late or this early? Well, let's just put it this way. I slept a little bit. You can still tell I'm a little tired, so I might rest again in a bit. But I figured, what the heck? Like I said in my last video, I got the place to myself to at least early Tuesday morning, so might as well take full advantage of it. So anyway, excuse me. You might know that I did a response to one of Rowdy CEO Chris Moore's reviews that he did, and you can check that out here on my channel. But I thought I'd now do another response to something that he did. And it's a response not just to something he talked about and that he did last year, I think, but it's something that everybody kind of likes to talk about at times, especially if you're a TMNT fan. And that's the original TMNT animated series. Now, we all know about the original first 7 seasons. Basically, they were the seasons that we enjoyed because they were the Ninja Turtles that we knew and loved and enjoyed watching every weekday afternoon and every Saturday morning. I mean, there was not one kid that I didn't know that didn't get up and watch those. Not one. I would go to school at Eldridge Elementary or Bret Hart Junior High in Hayward, California. Not one kid that I knew of never got up. Or not one kid that I knew of or I was friends with didn't get up early in the morning and watch Ninja Turtles because they did. In fact, sometimes I would think that was primarily the only thing they saw. But with that said, the final 3 seasons, though, are probably the most talked about of the original run. The reason they're the most talked about is because they were dubbed by many fans as the Red Sky seasons. And the reason they were dubbed as the Red Sky seasons, well, basically because, excuse me, is basically because every episode involved a red sky. Now, like I said in my cartoon flashback episode about the CBS Action Zone, this was at a time when CBS was trying to basically give themselves an answer to what was going on with Fox Kids. They were trying to create their own block, their own animation block. They never really had established one at that time until they did the Action Zone. I mean, sure, they had, things like Saturday Supercade, I think that was one of theirs, but that was years ago, and that was only a half hour of mini shorts of of shows based around, of animated shorts based around video games. And, we had other, blocks as well during the weekdays, Sunday mornings, whatever. But we never had a specific block of shows that really reflected off of each other, or basically reflected what the block was about. Now, of course, we had that back in the 70s and somewhat the early 80s, but like I said, that was about it. We never really had any since that time until the Disney Afternoon came around in 1990. But when CBS did the Action Zone, of course they had to do a lot of changes. They had to really put the shows that they were going to be action related or Action Zone related, excuse me, they had to put those shows back to back to back to each other. And of course, like I mentioned in that video, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was one of them. The only difference was the Ninja Turtles were basically darker and more action-oriented than they had been in previous seasons. Now, I'm not saying that the previous 7 seasons didn't have their action, were not action-oriented or anything like that, but you could tell they're a bit more humorous. They're a bit more humorous and stuff. And they use that comedy, that humor, to kind of play in with the action. But the Red Sky seasons, from Season 8 to Season 10, were definitely a change that some fans did accept and some fans were like, what were they thinking? I mean, even David Wise himself, the guy that was with Ninja Turtles since the very beginning, the original series, the original animated series, really is reluctant to talk about the Red Sky seasons. As a matter of fact, when it came to the last season, he was gone completely. I mean, he sticked around for the 8th season and somewhat of the 9th season, but when it came to the 10th season, it was like, he said, that's it, I've had enough, I'm gone. Which is kind of ironic because David Wise would actually go on to work with Disney on Disney's Mighty Ducks, the animated series, where you could tell there was a lot of that early TMNT influence in their show, along with a little bit of that dark edginess as well. But, like I said, with that said, I know it makes sense, right? The Red Sky seasons were, in my opinion, and I know I might be in the minority, maybe the majority, depending on, what, which side I'm really on here, whether it's the minority or the majority. I actually didn't have a problem with the Red Sky seasons. As a matter of fact, when I first saw the first episode of season 8, Get Shredder, and I saw that opening, I was like, I was hot. Basically, when I saw it opening, I was like, oh my gosh. This is new. This is the Ninja Turtles we've been wanting. Because in a sense, that's exactly what it was. True, it may have been dealt with the fact that you had some meddling from maybe CBS network executives and stuff. But it was also the fact that I think it was sort of a demand made by some fans to get it a little closer to not only what the movies were, but to get it a little closer to what the Archie comic was. I know that sounds strange, but that's how I look at it. And that's my opinion. That's how I look at it, in my opinion, that I think it was not just network executive meddling as much as it was possibly somewhat fan demand to get the show to be more like what we saw in the movies, mostly the first 2 movies, and what we read in Archie comics. And give the writers credit, even David Wise, who stuck around for it, give them credit. They did the best they could to get it as close as they can with it. Now, true, there are some elements about Season 8, which I do have right here, and I was very fortunate enough to get it at my job for $5. And you want to know how that happened? Quick story here. The other day I was working, I had a customer come, I was checking out a customer, and one of the DVDs he had was this. And I had basically already put this in my Amazon save queue. And my Amazon save queue was showing a price of $7.96 or $7.46. So when I see this at my job for $5, I figured, well, if there's 1 or 2 left back there, I'm going to get them. Fortunately, there was 1 left, and I got it. So now officially, I have the complete series. That other copy of Season 8, which was a DVD fab of this, yeah, it's going to be pretty much more of a backup than anything else. But yeah, I now have the entire series officially, and more importantly, I have the entire final 3 seasons, the Red Sky seasons, right here. But like I said, there were some things about Season 8 that some fans liked and some fans didn't. And like I said, I had no real problem with either of the seasons. I really didn't. Well, like I said, there were some fans that were okay with it, and there were some fans that weren't okay with it. Case in point, some of the episodes and some of the ideas, I will admit, were not done basically not done in a manner they should have been done in. I mean, pretty much, you're taking everything, and I agree with Rowdy on this one. You're pretty much taking everything that was established in the previous 7 seasons, if not in the previous 4 seasons before this. In the previous 7, if not the previous 4 seasons before this. And you're throwing it out the window because you want to be more edgier and darker and dramatic. And, well, like I said, give credit to David Wise and any of the people that were in charge of writing the show at the time. They did what they could to make it just like that. But there are certain episodes that I think they could have done without. One episode, in my opinion, and I agree with Rowdy on this one, and I think anybody would, State of Shock. I think that's the episode it's called. Yeah, State of Shock. This episode, I think, could have been done a lot differently, if not just shelved completely for something else. Why? Here's why. You have April O'Neil, who's befriended and trusted the Turtles since the day she's met them, and has gone basically through everything with them, has been involved with just about everything with them, gone through everything, dealt with everything with them. And this is the episode where, I don't know if it was David Wise or whoever the writer was, that decided, let's make April question the Turtles' loyalty and trust. Let's have her start to buy in to what Byrne is saying. Yeah, have her start buying into the propaganda. And you know what's crazy here? The only sane person that really, I think, kind of made sense, and I think trying to get April to think twice about her questioning of the Turtles and their actions, if you will, that she thought they were involved in, and the propaganda that was being spread about them. The only sane person, in my opinion, in this episode was Irma. Yeah, Irma, who didn't say much in the first episode of the Red Sky seasons of season 8, but had somewhat of a role, if not some kind of part here in the 3rd freaking episode. And if I remember correctly, maybe I have to go back and rewatch it, I think she was the only sane character here that tried to convince April not to think that way. Maybe I'm wrong. But the point is, State of Shock, basically you take someone like April O'Neil and you take everything she's gone through and been through with the Turtles, from basically meeting them to basically in the 2nd season being mutated into a Catwoman, if you will, that's temporarily controlled by Shredder, then freed, to where later on in the 3rd or 4th season, she's mutated into a fish woman, then an insect queen, a wasp queen, if you will, and then in the European episodes that got showed later on, get possessed by the spirit of a lost queen of Atlantis, that's becoming that lost queen almost, and basically the temporary villainess of the episode. You take all that, you come full circle with all that to here, the State of Shock in episode 3 of season 8 of the Red Sky seasons, just to have her throw it all out, or think about throwing it all out because she's starting to, believe the garbage that's being tossed around about the Turtles. I mean, seriously. Here's a girl, an ally of theirs, that in the episode Raphael Meets His Match of season 4, basically was giggling and getting a kick out of the fact that Raphael, who had won tickets to a costume party on a yacht on a cruise, was going to go as himself disguised as himself, and she was getting a kick out of it, even joking at the fact that she hopes to recognize him in his costume. I don't want to get on a rant here, but I think Rowdy did that already. But the thing is, this is the one episode, if people own this season, they will skip over and displace from continuity, because it's one of those WTF episodes every show, whether it's live action or animated, seems to get. Don't believe me? Check out Star Trek Voyager or Deep Space Nine. Yeah. I think it's Voyager, or one of them, where you have the freaking captain and a main character, like a third or second in command, get mutated into the salamanders. And they end up having babies. Yeah. Go figure. And that's an episode, as far as Star Trek fans go, I think especially with Voyager, that they just tossed out the window and said, never happened. Even the cast and crew look at that and say, never happened. Because whatever they were smoking that day didn't pan out right. It messed with their minds. The same could be said for whoever wrote State of Shock for Season 8 of TMNT's original animated run. But as far as the rest of the season goes, I have no problem with it. I liked the Havoc Titanus saga. I really did. Yeah, I really liked the Titanus saga. I really did. I liked it. I thought it was good. It was really nice. I liked the other episodes as well, which was Cyber Turtles, which introduced the Cyber Turtle suits, if you will, the cyber suits into the show finally, which ironically was at the same time Archie Comics was publishing a 4-part miniseries within the main comic, renaming it for that run Cyber Samurai Turtles, and having that take place in the future. And I also had no problem with Turtle Trek. So, overall, Season 8 was okay with me. Season 9 was alright as well. I mean, I don't think anybody will question. I know some people will look at me and say, you liked Season 9? Yeah, I actually did. I know some people might question it, but I thought Season 9 was pretty good. Here's why. It evolved the characters. It evolved story aspects, if you want to look at it that way. I mean, the fact that they went back and explored the whole mutation thing. I thought that was all right. I could question them saying, okay, they're still continuously mutating, and now that the only reason they mutate is maybe under stress or pressure or whatever. I could kind of understand how people felt about it, but to me, I thought it was all right. Heck, I even thought the introduction of Carter was okay. Now, here's a little tidbit, though. I thought Carter originally, when I saw the title Unknown Ninja as the Season 9 premiere, honestly, in my opinion, I thought we were going to finally see the animated debut of Ninjara. Yeah. Yumiko, Ninjara from Archie Comics, Raphael's girlfriend in there. I thought we were going to finally see her. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Instead, we got Carter. Now, what Rowdy said was probably true. Since they couldn't really go back and bring the Zack character back in some capacity,